What's PP poppin', battlers? Welcome back to another video, and we have my first tournament recap video, so I'm very excited about this. I did my first live tournament on Sunday, so a few days ago, I ranked it, or weighted it rather, and we ended up taking first place, undefeated, 5-0. I utilized the strategies in the prior videos I've uploaded, so I'm really excited to show that it actually worked. So yeah, and I was actually ranked like 11th in the country right after the tournament ended, and I think I'm like 13th now, and then we had 50th in the world. I think it dropped to like 76 or something, but I am just so stoked and grateful and, blessed and all that good stuff. I'm just really excited. Gonna try to flex on that as much as I can because I don't think I'm gonna get any better than that. But yeah, so really excited about that. We're gonna get into the battles now, and the first opponent was a young girl, so she was like 10 or 12 years old. So I'm not gonna actually include that footage because I basically just went with quick moves, and it was her first tournament. She didn't really know what she was doing. Her lineup, I'll put her lineup there. You can see she didn't have a lot of Pokemon ready or PvP ready Pokemon. She did have a Haunter, so she had maxed that out. That could have done some damage, but I don't think she really knew the ins and outs. But hopefully she continues to go. Her and her brother were very gracious, and they didn't whine at all, complain when they lost. They were just super excited and happy. So that's awesome. That's what it's all about, and I really hope to see them in future tournaments because they can definitely improve a lot if they keep showing up. So we're just going to go ahead and jump into the second battle, and so I'm going to hit play here. Now this my second opponent, he has Poliwrath, Empoleon, Cresselia, Bastiodon, Marowak, Alolan Marowak, and Frostlass on his team, so I wasn't really expecting that lineup. Pretty different lineup there, and so the main worry I was concerned about was Cresselia, because I struggle with the most with Cresselia, and the other ones I'm not too worried about. Frostlass I don't know a whole lot about other than it's a ghost type, and also ice, and it has Shadow Ball, so like I kind of know if I hit it with Shadow Ball I'll be just fine, and it's probably resistant to fighting, so I kind of was just thinking along those lines. And I just kind of wanted to do like a weird random lineup for my first lineup, so I actually led with Gardevoir. Gardevoir, just in case that he led with a Poliwrath or something that was favorable. Plus, the reason I like to lead with it, just in case I get the bad lead, I can switch it out and not kind of like get switch locked with it and then just completely lose it. So I kept it in the front, and yeah, so we're going to see how we do here. I'm going to hit play. So yeah, we lead with Gardevoir, we have Steelix in the middle, and then we have our finisher, Poliwrath, in the back. And so you're going to see we have a lot of KOs here, so I might put a little counter on the screen there just to kind of see how awesome it did. So we have a good lead, so he ends up switching to Marowak, and I learned from my practice battles to switch right away to Poliwrath, not to kind of not mess around and hang around for too long. And so I take the Shadow Ball there. Wasn't quite expecting that, but that's fine. I thought he was going to bait me. So then he does bait me here, so things aren't looking great so far. However, he doesn't know what my moveset is. So I go for a Hydro Pump just to see if he doesn't shield, and he doesn't shield. So we got our first KO right off the bat. So awesome. And now I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm not going to shield this one because I'm too low energy, excuse me, to shield that. So I go with Gardevoir again, and I go for the Shadow Ball. And then I switch out because I want to save that for Poliwrath. I'm really protecting that Gardevoir because I want to use it in a matchup that's really positive for me. So I put it out, I put Steelix back in. I didn't realize Avalanche does this much chip damage to me, so I'm kind of a little worried at this point, so I shield that one. I go for the Crunch here, and we hit it, and we do knock it out. And so now we have Poliwrath here, and I'm kind of just hoping he knocks me out because I don't want him to store any energy and farm me, so I don't have any shields anyway, so that worked out perfectly. So I go back in with Gardevoir, and we just take it out. So we win the first match there, or the first game, however you want to say it. And then, so the next matchup, I lead with a more comfortable lineup for me. I lead with Marowak because it's a safe lead, and then I have, my middle Medicham, and then closer Poliwrath just to knock those people out at the end. So we have a pretty good, I'm not too worried about this matchup as the lead here. I do know it can hit me with Shadow Ball. It decides to switch, so I decide to just throw a Shadow Ball to see if I can land one, but I'm most likely going to switch here. Yeah, so I switch, he takes the hit, and I go in with Medicham to farm, but then he switches out, and this is the match I'm most worried about because I know Cresselia can knock me out, especially if it has like a Moonblast, a Fairy attack. So I just go straight Psychics because that's really all I can do here. Just trying to get as much damage in as I can. And here I'm a little worried, but I don't want to use a shield on a matchup like this. It's kind of a waste, I feel like. So surprisingly, he had the Aurora Beam, which was good because it didn't knock me out. I was able to get another charge move in. And so now I'm back in with Marowak. I'm going to try to knock this one out. I go with Bone Club here just to get any sort of attack off. And he decides to shield, which was awesome. That really was very needed. And so here I feel like he did its job. I just want to bring Poliwrath the Punisher back in. And with a shield, I can do a lot of damage. And so I was able to actually farm that one. So that was perfect. That actually worked out exactly how I wanted. So I go for the bait here because I don't want to waste my energy. He luckily falls for the bait, and now it's just a matter of me getting the Hydro Pump, and it should be a wrap at this point. So I shield, we go for the Hydro Pump, and go to sleep. So we got another KO. So let's put that on the counter. And okay, so this is game 3. I decided to go with Drift Blim. I want to mix it up a little bit, but I do like having Steelix in the middle, and I do like to have Poliwrath as a finisher. He decides to lead with Poliwrath here, so this is an okay matchup for me. I'm surprised he switched that one. He must have not had Ice Punch, so I'm just farming up at this point. And I think I decided to go for a Shadow Ball here, if I'm correct. No, Ominous Wind. I'm trying to get the buff. And here, I decide to shield, and he baits me. So he definitely outplayed me there. You know, it's one of those things where if you guess right, you're awesome. If you guess wrong, you suck. In terms of your result for this match. Doesn't mean you're a bad player. It's just a guessing game with this particular matchup. Drift Blim versus Marowak. Lots of baiting can go on there. So he hits me with the Shadow Ball. So he totally outplays me there. I fell for the bait, and then I didn't shield when he actually hit me with Shadow Ball. So off to a bad start, and then he baits me again. So at this point, I'm like, oh god, this sucks. So I try to go for Hydro Pump. This was actually a bad move in retrospect. It actually does less damage than Counter Punch or Dynamic Punch. But I didn't know at the time. I was just kind of like, I was just thinking like, oh, I wonder how much Hydro Pump will do. I never really did it in the practice before or the Sims. So at this point, I wasn't really trying too hard. I was just like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to come back. So I do throw Dynamic Punch there. But you can see both of our shields are down. And here, it's an okay matchup, but Frostlass's Avalanche does a lot of damage. And so I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it back from this one. But we go for the Crunch, because that is the better move to do, maybe. Maybe should have gone for Earthquake. I don't have a lot of practice with Frostlass, to be honest. So I just go for whatever I can get off there. And then he knocks me out. So he takes game 3. Oh wait, I still have a Poliwrath, but it's dead. So so he takes game 3, but we win the match, so that was what's important. So very excited about that. Okay, next opponent, he has Poliwrath, Bronzong, Mawile, and Alolan Raichu. So I wasn't really worried about Raichu. It's kind of squishy. And so I just go in with my Marowak, Steelix, and I think I had Drift Blim there. Sorry, I missed it. But he leads with Poliwrath here. And so this is not a good lead for me, so I decide to switch right away. I go in with Drift Blim here because I want to spam Ominous Wind, and then he goes in with Mawile, which I actually don't mind this matchup at all because I can just throw Ominous Winds, and if it shields, I don't know if your opponents will realize, but if they use all their shields on a Mawile, they kind of put themselves in a very tough situation because you'll see what happens here. So I throw another Ominous Wind, and he shields it again, so he wastes both of his shields. And now I go in with Steelix, and if you remember the last video that I just uploaded, when I paused the video and said never shield on a Steelix versus Mawile, I learned from that, so I knew going in this match right here that I was perfectly golden to just not shield. So I don't shield, I save it, I go with an Earthquake to knock it out because it's weak to ground. And then now we're going against Poliwrath here. And here, I just see if I shield it or not. No, I decided to let it go because I still have Marowak in here. Now I'm going to use my shield because I want to get the Shadow Ball off, so I use the shield here. And then I go for the Shadow Ball. He has no shields, and so this one's going to hurt pretty bad. But it doesn't KO him because he was pretty full on health. So at this point, I decide to shield again because I know I can farm it out. It's really, really low health, so I just decide to farm it. Now by overcharging, this is actually what won me the match because he brings in a Marowak, and I hit it with the Shadow Ball, but I don't KO it. And so now it's a race to Bone Club because we're both pretty low, but because I overcharged and got a couple extra quick moves in, I'm able to beat him to the Bone Club, and we take the first match. So that was a very, very close match. My heart was just pounding this whole tournament, basically. I was so nervous, but that was a close one. So let's go for the second one. I decide to lead with Gardevoir just in case he leads with a fighter. I wanted to catch him off guard and worked out perfectly. So he gets the lead correctly. He decides to switch, and then I decide to switch to Steelix because Steelix is like the perfect Pokemon to use against Mawile. So here, again, don't shield. Never shield. There's no point. So I just decide not to shield. I could have maybe farmed a little bit more here, but the powered up bites will take you down, like if you wait too long. So I decided to just go for the crunch. I try to bait the shield, and he falls for it, so that was perfect. He goes for a power up punch. Again, don't shield that. There's no point. So I go for the crunch again, and I'm sitting in a really good spot right now because I got shields. I got some. I just burned a second shield, and so now I'm like feeling really good here. So I go in with Poliwrath, the Punisher here, and he decides to switch out, but I have energy, so now I'm very dangerous with Poliwrath, so I decide to do a dynamic punch, which is the right move, and he's almost out. So then I switch to Gardevoir because I want to save Poliwrath to close the match. So I swap in. He does a really nice swap there, but I have energy, so I go in with a Shadow Ball. There's nothing he can do at this point. And then he has to bring his... He brings his Marowak in. Gardevoir did its job, so I'm good with that. So now I have a Poliwrath, and I have shields, so there's not much he can do here. I use my shield, because I'm really close to a Hydro Pump. And we get to Hydro Pump, so you know what's going to happen here. And go to sleep. So we take that match. So we take the match there. So I was real excited. That one went much better than I expected. So here, the third match, you're going to see I actually kind of get cheated out of this win, and you'll see what happens here. The lesson I'm going to take away from this is to just quit the match if this happens, because I didn't know at the time. You'll see what happens here. I don't want to spoil it, but we have Drifblim here. I like this lead because I can spam Ominous Winds. So we have Mawile just burning shields. This is exactly what I liked to happen. I don't care if it takes me out. I just want to burn shields because with Poliwrath as my Punisher, like finisher Pokemon, I want them to burn shields so that I can just KO them. So far so good, right? Like we're sitting in a really good spot. He burned both of his shields. I have 2 shields. I'm getting Ominous Winds off, and I think I might get a buff somewhere at some point. No, maybe not. So I go with Steelix. Again, this is textbook right now. I'm just kind of going on autopilot. I know I don't need to shield this. There's no point. It's not going to do much damage. I'm going to be able to knock it out here. I decided to go with the crunch. I'm not sure why. I should have probably just saved up some energy. But anyways, I knock it down, and here's where things go weird. So you see what just happened? So the Poliwrath disappeared. At this point, I thought I was going against a Poliwrath, which is why I shielded. Because I thought it was going to hit me with like a dynamic punch or something. And so I get an Earthquake out. Again, I still think it's Poliwrath. I don't realize that in the top of the screen it says Metacham. I didn't know at the time because this glitch doesn't happen very often. And so I decided to play it out because I thought he still had Poliwrath. So you can see here I don't shield, but he had a Psychic. Had I known I was against a Metacham, I would have shielded, and then I would have farmed it out, and I would have had more energy to knock out its Poliwrath with dynamic punches. And so, yeah, I talked to the player afterwards, but he didn't want to do a rematch. He just wanted to keep the win. So it was kind of unfortunate situation. And yeah, so let's just go. And then the tournament advisor also was just like, just let him have it. You won the match anyways. And I was like, okay, whatever. It does affect my rank, but it's not going to affect it too much. But still, it was just kind of, I don't know, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't like that. I would have, if I was on the other end, I would have rematched. So whatever. Let's just go into our next match. So our next opponent has a very similar team to me. He's got Drifblim, Steelix, he's got Poliwrath, Marowak. His only different Pokemon are Mawile and Slowbro. And so I lead with Gardevoir again. I kind of want to switch it up here, so I decided to lead with one of the same lineups I did before. And you're going to see what happens in this match. It's hilarious. So I go Gardevoir versus Marowak, sorry. And I decide to switch here. It was a pretty decent switch because I, avoided the damage there. And he goes for a Bone Club, which I don't shield. So far, so good. He decides to switch into a Drifblim, and here is where things go very, very wrong for me. So he throws an Ominous Wind, right? I decide not to shield because I don't think it's a Shadow Ball already. He gets a boost, so he gets a buff, and I'm like, oh crap. This is no good. So I go for the Hydro Pump, hoping that he... But this is actually one of the people I did practice against, so he knew I had Hydro Pump. So that's why I only practiced against one person in this cup that I was going to play against, because I didn't want too many people to know my moves. So watch what happens here. Ominous Wind. And he gets another boost. So, a double boost, and I was just laughing at this point because there was absolutely nothing I could do here. So I'm going to speed up the video, in fact, because there's absolutely nothing we can do against a double boosted Drifblim. Like, are you kidding me? I just throw away my shields in the garbage. I'm just like, okay, just finish me off, please, so we could do the next match. And yeah, so that was rough. I kind of liked my odds in this match other than that happening, so it's kind of unfortunate that that happened. So anyways, we're on to game 2. We have Marowak, Steelix, Poliwrath. I love this lineup. Safe lead, safe switch in, and then a huge closer. So it's a really, really good lineup. I really like this lineup. I decide to swap into Steelix to kind of absorb some of this damage. He throws an Ominous Wind. I actually was anticipating that he was going to use Drifblim again because of how awesome it did for him last match. So I did predict his lead perfectly there. So we switch into Steelix. He throws a Bone Club, we take it, we throw in a Crunch, and he shields. So far our strategy is kind of going to plan. We're burning shields, and we just have Poliwrath just waiting in the back to do work. So he burns another shield, so this is awesome. At this point, we're sitting in a very, very powerful spot. So we bring Poliwrath in to kind of just do work on this Marowak. I decided not to shield here, and he tried to bait me, so it worked out perfectly. So now he's in a really rough spot. I'm just storing up energy at this point. I shield just in case he goes for Shadow Ball, and it worked out. So perfect shield. But I decided to throw the Dynamic Punch. I guess I just didn't want to overfarm. I don't know. I just didn't want to play around too much. In case, if he had Bone Clubbed me there, he could have got a Shadow Ball off, so I think that's why I just went for the Dynamic Punch. I didn't want to play around. And so I go for the Hydro Pump and go to sleep. So he's down, and we're about to knock out a third Pokemon with one Pokemon, Poliwrath. So you see there, we shield, we go for the Hydro Pump, and go to sleep. So we KO'd 3 Pokemon in that match with Poliwrath. So that is why I love Poliwrath, and I love Hydro Pump on it, because it just does so much damage. You saw we knocked out everyone on his team with just Poliwrath, so that was awesome. Alright, last matchup. Drifblim versus Mawile. Again, I like this matchup. I'm not going to swap out in this situation, because I like to burn shields, and I like to try to get a boost. And so I go for the Ominous Wind again. And let's see if we get the boost here. We do get the boost. Okay, so I start panicking, right? So I'm like freaking out, like, oh my god. I try swapping out, and in my panic, it actually worked out because he got a few more quick moves in. I was able to swap in Steelix at just the right time and take that hit from Mawile. And so that's awesome. We have a boosted Drifblim in the back now just in case we need it. He brings out Slowbro, but I have some energy already built up. So I'm throwing crunches at it, and since he has no shields, he can't really do much against it. Now he brings back Mawile, and there's nothing he can do against Steelix. Remember, Steelix is awesome against Mawile. So we have a little bit of lag there, so I stop attacking. But at this point, we were kind of talking to each other, and he realized, yeah, he was not going to win this match. So we just kind of play it out. And yeah, it was... everything went like our way this match. So I just shield here, and we go for another Crunch just to knock out the Drifblim. And I try to switch there, but I don't get it in time, so he does hit me. But I shield it just because I think I can get to a Crunch here, so I get to it just barely. And we hit him with that one. So he's down, and there we go. That was game 3. So, wow, we did... that was a very, very close one because we were at really bad risk of losing. So our last opponent has a team that I'm really scared against because he has Dusclops and he has Cresselia. I don't have a lot of practice with them. I just know Cresselia is tough for me. So I'm just kind of hoping he doesn't use it too much. So I lead with Drifblim here. I'm trying to switch, and it's just not working. This was the final match, by the way. So I throw in Ominous Wind, trying to get a boost. You can see I'm trying to switch again. It's just not working out. So I decide to shield, and I think I try to go for a Shadow Ball here. Just to see, since he's not shielding, just to see if I can do a lot more damage before I try to swap out or whatever. And he shields. So far, we're kind of iffy here. So he hits me with a Crunch, and I see if I can go for a... I just barely get off an Ominous Wind, so at this point, I don't care about a boost anymore because I'm dead. So we hit him, we actually burned both of his shields, so that was actually what I was really excited about. So he brings in Dustclops, right? I decided because he's got no shields, I'm just going to start throwing Hydro Pumps at it, and we almost KO it, so that was awesome. He wasn't expecting that. I'm good staying in with Poliwrath here because both of Dustclops' charge moves don't do a whole lot of damage, and so I decided to swap it out though at the end just to save it, just in case I need it. So I swap out to Steelix, and this matchup obviously Marowak would win with like a normal scenario with shields, but he has no shields, so I throw an Earthquake at it, and he hits me with a Bone Club. I don't shield because I didn't think he had a Shadow Ball at that point, and so he brings back a Steelix, but he's really low. So I shield, because I think if I get to a crunch, I could knock it out, but he gets to another crunch, so I'm a little worried here, but luckily we stay alive and I get a crunch off, and we take game 1. So that was a pretty crazy match. I was trying to conserve my shields, and I think I did a good job there, conserving my shields for the right time, so that helped us win. So the second match, we decided to do the same, because this guy's pretty good. I play with him a lot, he beats me a lot, and he does a lot of mind games, so I was kind of wondering if he was going to switch his team, so I decided to use the same team, but I think he anticipated that. So he leads with Steelix again, and it's kind of like the same matchup, so I decided to I think I threw a Shadow Ball there, and I hit him, so that actually worked out. So I decided to go for a Ominous Wind. I don't shield because I knew I did a lot of damage to it, so I don't really want to save my shields, and I get the boost. So at this point, I'm thinking maybe I should save it. This might have been a bad move though. I kind of fell in love with the Drifloon after I got the boost, and so I shielded it. I don't know if that would have ended up hurting me in the end, so we'll see what happens. So I knock out the Steelix thanks to the boost, but I do lose my Drifloon quite straight away there. And so I go with Steelix. I know if I get hit with enough Fire Punches, I'll die obviously, but we're only down to one shield, so I can do a lot of damage. And if he burns his shield, that's even better. So he decides to save his shield, and I decide to save my shield because I know a Shadow Punch or a Fire Punch won't knock me out. And he goes for the double charge move here. So he was storing up energy, so that one definitely hurt. I go for the crunch here, and we take it out, and now he has a Medicham, and I wasn't predicting Medicham. So at this point, one shield to one shield. I should have known he was going to bait me. That was just kind of my inexperience. When you're at a one shield, really the only way Medicham can beat you is if it gets rid of your shield. But then he had a shield too, but still, I couldn't get to my Hydro Pump in time. So he takes game 2. So the final round of the tournament would go to game 3, and I decide to do my same team of Marowak, Steelix, Poliwrath, because I thought he was going to try to be sneaky and go Steelix again, and I was right. I didn't get the footage of my lineup, so I apologize, but I have, Marowak, Steelix, Poliwrath, a very common lineup that I use, and I did predict the lead this time, so I'm like, okay, we got this, Justin, just focus. I go for the Bone Clubs, and so here I decide to not shield. I'm trying to conserve my shields. I have a shield advantage, and so having a shield advantage with Poliwrath is very, very, very powerful. And so I farm down to Steelix. So here I decide to bait him. Oh no, I don't. I decide to go for Hydro Pump, but he thinks I'm gonna bait, and he doesn't shield, so that was huge. I try, because this guy is tough. Sometimes he reads your bait, so sometimes you have to switch it up on him. And so I decided to switch it up there. And here I go for the Dynamic Punch, and didn't do much damage there, but I feel like I don't need him anymore because Poliwrath, because I did take out his Medicham, which was awesome, but I did get to a Hydro Pump, which was huge. So I burned his last shield. He had no choice but to shield there. And now I have a Steelix. So now I know I'm good to take a few hits with Steelix with full health, but he overcharged, so he threw another charge move, so I decided to burn my shield there, and I go for a crunch to see if I can knock him out. And I just knock him out, and then he has a Medicham, but he's so low on energy that as long as he doesn't have Dynamic Punch, I'm good, and he doesn't. He has Power Up Punch, and so we're able to Dragon Tail him down, and we take the tournament. So, oh, my heart was beating so fast that entire time. That was very, very, there was a lot of people watching us, and it was very nerve-wracking, but we stuck to our strategy. We didn't fall for the shield base the last match, and things worked out, and we won. So so there you go. We went 5-0 in our first local tournament for season 2, and I'm in a remote tournament right now, and I'm 2-0 so far. So I'm hoping to do good in that one, and I'll make a video about that. So if you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to ask me about what I was thinking about in this tournament, please comment in the comment section below. I'd love to talk to you guys. Thank you guys so much, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.